It's Fight Team Forecast, Fight Team Forecast. Party rock, Jiri Prochazka. Ulberg. Jiri Prochazka. Bye, Potan. Peace out, Potan. Bring in the vacant belt. We're ready to talk about all the fights from the first fight to the last because we're starting off with the first of the night. Interim title fight between Jiri Prochazka, former champ, and he's fought for the belt 3 times in the last 3 years, versus Carlos Ulberg from New Zealand, trained at City Kickboxing with Israel Adesanya. It's his chance to have a chance. It's his time to have a chance, is what I should say. He has the chance to get gold. He is an underdog in this fight, and the co-main event was a title fight as well. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened there. Just something happened, glitched out, no more fight. It's going to be rescheduled, I would say. Thankfully, we still got one hell of an event in Miami. It's going to be fireworks, tons of fun Friday. We will be going live with the Prop Fiend show. And last week, Fight Fiend went 3 for 3 on the props of the week. Hit my lock parlay on Patreon. It was locked for Platinum Forecasters only. So the lock smacked. Now we're here to keep momentum moving forward in Miami. And like I said, we're starting it off with the first fight. Not the first fight of the night, the last fight of the night. Changing up the format a bit. So let me know in the comments. Do you want me to start with the first fight of the night? Do you want me to do the main event first and then move backwards on the card? I want to start off with this fight because Jiri Prochazka is trying to get his belt back for what is to be the 3rd time, I think it is, in the last 3 years. When he lost it, he didn't even lose it officially. He was injured and had to vacant the belt. Now, Alex Pereira made the belt be vacant due to moving up a weight class. So Alex Pereira is going up to heavyweight to fight Cyril Gane. That's a great matchup. But in this one, I do think Jiri Prochazka has the cardio and has fought the better competition to get the win here. He slightly favored Carlos Ulberg plus 100. He's a slight underdog, and he does have a lot of power. We've seen it in that last fight. He knocked out Dominick Reyes, who's on this card round 1. But we've seen him later in fights start to fade, gas out, and he has not fought the better competition over his last couple fights. Yeah, he has some good wins. He beat Jan Blachowicz, I do believe, as well. Looking at his most recent fights, Carlos Ulberg, he's 13-1. And someone has to stop him. Unanimously beat Jan Blachowicz, unanimously beat Volkan Ozdemir, knocked out Alonzo Menifield. But Jiri Prochazka, he knocked out Jamal Hill, Khalil Roundtree in his last fight, and Alexander Rakic. And late in fights, he's still there with a high finishing upside. I think Jiri Prochazka has the finishing upside start to finish in this fight. He's more durable in this fight. And he's not only a good hammer. I know Carlos Ulberg is a good hammer, but let's talk about who's the better nail. Who can get hit and keep moving forward? Who can push through some adversity and still be in the fight? And I think that's Jiri Prochazka. As a betting favorite, very intrigued in betting him this week. Obviously, a lot of value on this pick, but there is a lot of value on so many picks this week. About 6 fights priced minus 125 range, minus 140 range. So a lot of these fights, they're priced very close, and the market is saying these are about 50-50 fights, maybe a slight edge one way or the other. But half the event is a 50-50 fight. This is one hell of a fight for the interim belt. I hope Jiri Prochazka can get the belt back, because when he lost it, like I said, he didn't lose it officially. He was hurt, had to give it up. Now he has a chance versus Carlos Ulberg. And this is probably the best chance for him to get the belt back. It was tough in the loss to Alex Pereira twice trying to get the belt back. He got knocked out in those fights there, but that does not mean he's not durable. Alex Pereira has serious power with the kickboxing background, and Ulberg, I just don't think he has the finishing upside like that. He has 8 knockouts, 4 decisions, but recently with the step up in competition, he's going the distance, and the finishes are not coming as easy. 9-1 in the UFC now. His first UFC fight was a loss to Kennedy Nzechukwu, and Kennedy is not a guy he should have lost to, but he got caught in that one round too. So yeah, later in fights is where I start to see Jiri Prochazka take over, but in round 1 too, he's so wild, he could land something as well. Ulberg, though, I do believe in his durability early. It's just late when he starts to gas out is when he's more likely to get finished, in my opinion. Jiri Prochazka is a great pick. He could even go out there and win a decision. We've seen Jiri in a 5-round war before. He took Glover Teixeira late into round 5 and found the submission when he did get the belt originally. But a nice decision that he was in actually never happened. Looking at it here now, he's only been in 1 decision, and that was fucking 2016 at Ryzen. So the fight where I thought he went the distance, the 5-round fight, was to Glover Teixeira. It was a 5th round finish, rear naked choke, got the belt in that fight. Almost went the distance. That was almost the first fight in the UFC where Jiri went the distance against Glover. And in that fight was a fight that could show you some upsides that he'll have over Carlos in this fight with the wrestling, grappling, and cardio durability. So Yuri's the pick for Fight Fiend this week. Could be a lock of the week play. Not sure if the locks will be free this week, so stay forecasted. This will be the longest prediction on the video as well. Like I said, we're changing up the format. Let me know what you think. I am not starting with the first fight of the night. Going with the main event. Going reverse order tonight. Rest of the picks will be quick. I also said it on this prediction. Half the event, the fights are about 50-50. The market thinks these fights are going to be close. I think these fights are going to be close, and it's going to be tough to get some money betting on this event. We all know the last couple events have been tricky, especially the pay-per-view events. People have been getting burned, losing their money. So you got to manage the bankroll wisely, and that's about it. Hopefully we can win some money this week, but when you're losing, as long as you manage the bankroll wisely, we can profit long term. So that's the Prochazka Ulberg prediction. Not much more to say. I can see Jiri Prochazka winning any which way, and I'm very confident the longer the fight goes. This is a great one in Miami. Let's try to make some money this week. Last week, ton of momentum was picked up. A lot of profit was picked up. But these pay-per-view events, they're very tricky. And I can't say with a ton of confidence we're going to do it again. But we will try. And we will be managing the bankroll wisely and setting a comfortable bankroll. All right, let's keep it going. Co-main event, possibly here. Not sure if this is the official co-main event, but I do expect it to be big names here. Big implications possibly on the line if Murzakanov, 16-0, can continue this win streak. In the UFC, he's just flying through his opponents. On the feet, he pressures with a power punch. And not only that, he has the wrestling to stop any takedowns coming his way, and he's usually the better wrestler in a lot of his fights. And it's just on the feet where he is the biggest threat in a lot of his fights, a lot of forward pressure and power, and his opponents are just backed up, pushed against the fence, and that's not where they want to be in this fight. And they don't want to be low output, which is Paulo Costa's problem. He's very low output. He does spinning attacks that can get him caught, where Murzakanov's going to have the better IQ and land some shots. So I see more damage on the side of Murzakanov and Paulo Costa likely bleeding on the other side. I could see Murzakanov finding a knockout finish early in this fight. Last fight, it was very quick to Alexander Rakic. Paulo Costa, known for his durability and toughness, off a good win to Roman Kopylov in his last fight. But he's up a weight class now, and this is not going to be an easy fight up a weight class to a guy 16-0. Getting close to a title shot. I just question how close is Azamat to a title shot. Don't know how hard the UFC wants to push him here. I don't know how quick they want to get him to a title shot. We'll see. But he has serious power, and Paulo Costa is going to see lots of that. I could see the knockout, even a unanimous decision for Azamat Murzakanov. This is another confident pick on the card. But as we start talking about other fights on this card, the confidence starts to dwindle. So we got to be very smart later in the event, where last event at the Apex, we made our money early and took it easy later into the night. We're going to have to stay up late in Miami. It's going to be a party. So get everything you need, your essentials, and let's party. We're taking Azamat Murzakanov this week as a lock of the week. That's one free lock pick I'm giving out this week. And expect it to be on the Prop Fiend show this Friday, live stream, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Azamat Murzakanov, highly likely to be a lock of the week for not only Fight Fiend, one of the other special guests on the show. This is going to be a show. Two guys that relatively are fighting the same. Durability's lacking. Striking is sensational. And Johnny Walker in his last fight cashed in as an underdog. Dominick Reyes is known to do that. And this is one we might want to sit back, relax, and have a drink and enjoy, because either guy could get knocked out at any time. And I'm not willing to put my money on a guy that defensively can't get hit. You can't trust him to get hit. One punch is all it takes at these heavier weight classes. So to bet this fight, I don't know, but I will give you a prediction because I think it's going to be fast. So the prediction will be relatively fast too. I'm going with the more technical striker. And in my opinion, that's Dominick Reyes. So close to beating John Jones at the prime pinnacle of his career. Unable to do it, though. Went to the judges, and he didn't get it done. But Dominick Reyes, although he's been knocked out multiple times after that John Jones fight, he came back, showed us the 2.0, and had a good little run. His last fight, he did get caught to Carlos Ulberg, who's now fighting for the belt. That is what the UFC thinks about Carlos Ulberg. So that is not a bad loss to snap what looked to be the 2.0 of Dominick Reyes. I'm right back on the Dominick Reyes side here in this fight. More technical, more speed, and his return looked very good after getting knocked out multiple times. The worry is clear and evident here. If Dominick Reyes gets hit on the chin, he could get knocked out. But I'm going to be gasping for air, holding my breath that he does not get knocked out to Johnny Walker, who cashed in as a big underdog in that last fight. Although Johnny has that reach advantage and unorthodox style. Not orthodox. He's unorthodox style stance too. Unorthodox as fuck. I think the technical fighter knocks him out. Johnny Walker is a guy that's been knocked out many times before. So you look at Dominick, yeah, he got knocked out 4 times out of his 5 losses. Recently to Carlos Ulberg in his last fight, round 1, super vicious as well. That was devastating fashion. Ryan Spann knocked him out round 1. Jiri Prochazka caught him with the spinning elbow. Jan Blachowicz caught him. But I think those guys would also beat a Johnny Walker. Now let's take a quick dive into Johnny Walker and what he's been doing here. He's off the win to Ming Yang Zhang, who's new to the UFC. Before that, he got knocked out to Volkan Ozdemir round 1. He was knocked out to Magomed Ankalaev in round 2 with an uppercut before that. So the durability is no better on the other side of Dominick Reyes. So I think it goes down to the more technical striker. On the ground, Johnny Walker, he is sneaky. His brother probably teaching him how to do a heel hook. But he has 3 submission wins, 17 knockouts. I think he's going to be stuck on the feet with Dominick Reyes. And he's going to be in deep waters with Reyes 3.0. The Dominator. Hopefully he can dominate this fight. A fighter I have a lot of faith in. Hopefully he can turn it around here. Probably not putting my hard-earned money on it, though. I like Prochazka and Azamat Murzakanov. In the first 2 fights that we talked about in this one, Reyes is definitely a fun pick and a fight to watch. To go put my hard-earned money on it, you might have to hit the link in the description below. Patreon Platinum Forecasters are going to see all the bets Fight Fiend places this week. Now, this one is just maybe too quick of a step up for Josh Hokit, who's very entertaining, so fun on the mic. Josh Hokit has great wrestling too. And yeah, has knockout power, but that was to Denzel Freeman. And that's just not at the top 5, top 10 of the UFC heavyweight division, which is where Curtis Blaydes has been sitting and fighting. And Curtis Blaydes just beat a big Rizvan Kunaev split decision. So he has the cardio, he has the wrestling as well to do whatever Josh Hokit does. I think Curtis Blaydes can just do it better. Curtis Blaydes is going to do whatever Hokit can do 10 times better, and he's going to look like a 3-1 favorite in this fight, potentially. Just too soon for Josh Hokit. I can't buy into the hype, man. He's funny on the mic and stuff like that, but realistically, stylistically, and looking at the level of competition, I don't think he's getting the win. And Curtis Blaydes is another pick I really like this week. The confidence is later on the event, and the momentum hopefully can continue to grow on some low confidence picks at the start of the card, because Curtis Blaydes is another fight here I have a ton of confidence in, and I think he brings it to a not a debuter, but a newcomer to the division, and definitely someone that needs to be dealt a new one, the way he's been talking on the mic. And I think even Josh Hokit asked for this fight too. So sometimes you're going to get what you ask for. Sometimes you get what you ask for. And that is what I am expecting to happen here. Curtis Blaydes for the win. Finish? I don't know. He won his last fight split decision. Sensing another decision win in this fight. It's going to be a close one. Back and forth wrestling, I do expect and hope. Would love to see some good exchanges on the mat here. So yeah, I'm leaning decision right now. Curtis Blaydes. Join Patreon. You'll see all the official outcomes, confidence levels, and the forecasted percentage versus the odds. And then we can find the edge on these fights. I don't know if we have a real edge on this next fight, the women's fight. This is a back and forth women's fight. Very competitive one. I will go with the favorite. Normally, I want to go with the underdog, but in this one, I do like Tatiana Suarez making better decisions in there. Lupita Godinez in her losses. She's looked good, and they've been winnable fights, but she makes bad decisions and takes the loss in a fight where Tatiana Suarez has a high IQ and her wrestling so dominant and hard to stop. I don't see Godinez putting up a whole lot of a fight other than being durable and trying to keep it competitive. I see Tatiana Suarez stealing these rounds, impressing the judges, and getting this one done. Unanimous. Ugh. Try to spit it out. Put some foam in my mouth first. Fucking nasty. That's nasty stuff. Okay, I'm going to spit it out. I forget what I was going to say. Tatiana Suarez decision. Slam it. She's going to slam Godinez down. And you're going to slam the like button. You're going to slam Instagram, TikTok, X, Telegram, all platforms. If you have not smashed them yet, I would advise you to. We got a bunch of great content. And on Discord, Prelim Tim is now here. He joined the F3 Discord. So check out Prelim Tim. He's in the Discord absolutely free. It's a free community. Hit the Discord link. Prelim Tim has a free channel in there, giving out his reads and his nicks, picks. Nicks licks is what we're calling it. So join Discord. It's absolutely free. We're going to keep running on with the show and see if we can make this money in Miami. It's a tricky event. I'm not going to lie. Very tricky event. These pay-per-views have been tough. Hard to make paper on them. And I guess they're not called pay-per-views anymore. They are numbered events, but it's hard to say that. It's hard to get that going. Doesn't sound right at all. So I'm going to keep saying pay-per-views. Yep, because the people are paying for the pay-per-views, man. They're paying for the pay-per-views, and Cub Swanson's been on a few of those. Old Cub here, retirement fight. And this is a very tough fight to predict. I would just flip a coin. Nate Landwehr, he is super aggressive, and I've always been on the train. Nate the Train. And you got to know I'm going back on the train in this one. A choo-choo. He has the forward pressure. He has the durability and grit, and he's just pulled out wins time and time again. The Billy Q win was nice for Cub Swanson, but he's a little bit too inactive for me, man. Over a year now. I thought he was not done, but wondering when he was coming back, if he ever was, if it was injury or what was going on. He never retired properly, and now he's going to get the right send-off. But like we've seen with Michael Chiesa, a very nice send-off. I don't think we're getting it here. Might be the opposite of that. However, Nate Landwehr can get caught too. Round 3, Landwehr got finished in his last fight. And I completely screwed up their ages because I tell you what, they are not under the age of 30. So sorry about the content error there. Looking at that in front of me, I'm just like, what? 29 Cub? Talking about retirement? No, this guy is definitely like 39. I'll get that information here in front of me now. Cub Swanson. He is sitting at the age of 42, 37 for Nate Landwehr. Yeah, tough one for Cub, 42 years old. Kind of shocked he got it done in that last one. He was off a split decision to Andre Fili. And his other loss recently was a knockout with the leg kicks to Jonathan Martinez. He just did not handle those leg kicks very well. Nate Landwehr is on a 2-fight losing streak here, and he's favored to win. So that's an indicator too. Like on a 2-fight losing streak, favored to win now. I got to think he gets back into the win column. Duhan Choi was a tough fight for Nate Landwehr. He got knocked out in that fight too. But the Jamal Emmers win that he had was unbelievable. The knockout right hook and hammer fist in that fight, that was 2 years ago, though. It was just a really good win, and he's due for one now. Favored to get it done by the bookies. Austin Lingo, he got the submission win. So Nate Landwehr's the guy where it's hard to really pick his method of victory. He can go out and grind a decision. He can grab the back and submission at any point in the fight. He's nasty on the ground. And on the feet, he's just pushing forward and can just put the damage on, land a shot on an old 42-year-old. So sitting, looking at the props, really hard to get a confident read on that. But Nate Landwehr is going to be the pick for me. Nate the Train, all aboard. Fight Fiend is on board this week. 42 years old. I would like to see a retirement fight go his way. He's had a great career. It's just a tough matchup, in my opinion. And you got a really hungry Nate Landwehr. 2-fight losing streak. Now favored to win by the sport books. I feel like Nate Landwehr is going to go out there and get the knockout win in this fight. Looking at how the leg kicks weren't handled well for Cub Swanson in that Jonathan Martinez fight. He didn't handle the leg kicks very good. The defense wasn't good handling the leg kicks. Now, Nate Landwehr is not a guy to go out there and throw leg kicks or anything like that, but he's constantly pushing forward, and it's just going to be too much for an old 42-year-old off for a year and 3 months now. Really like Nate Landwehr this week as well on the picks, and that is the prediction. Possible knockout, possible submission, decision. Very tough to determine exactly how he's going to win. Final call for him. I do see a knockout finish possibly in this one, but it's so hard to determine how Nate Landwehr is going to win this fight if he gets his hand raised in what is Cub Swanson's retirement fight. Kevin Holland, very hard fighter to trust in here. He is a plus 110 underdog versus Randy Brown, 20-7. And Randy Brown's off a loss. Kevin Holland's off a loss. And they were both high-level opponents. Gabriel Bonfim got the knockout round 2 with the knee. And Kevin Holland dropped a decision to Mike Malott. Kevin Holland also lost to Jack Della Maddalena, split decision. So it's hard to say what version of Kevin Holland we're going to get. So hard to tell what version we're going to get out of him. I'm going to see how many losses he's picked up now in a row. He's kind of back and forth. He gets a win, he gets a loss. He gets a win, he gets a loss. So in a 50-50 fight, you just want to side with the plus money. Kevin Holland, 2-fight losing streak. He lost to D-Rod and Mike Malott. So at plus money, it's like, how much faith are we going to have in Kevin Holland, and how much longer are we going to keep playing this game with him? He doesn't take it as serious as other fighters. And Randy Brown, off a loss, is just as motivated to get back into that win column. That's one thing I like to look when I'm predicting these fights. Which fighter's more motivated to go out there and get the win? When times are tough, are they going to bite down on the mouthpiece, keep moving forward for the win? Or are they going to be like, oh, this is just too tough of a fight. I'm on a win streak. I've had a bunch of good fights. I'm on a run. This is just not my night. Like, I want a guy that's like, I don't care if it's not my night. The last number of fights didn't go my way. No matter what, I'm getting my hand raised. So you want someone that's really going to bite down. Kevin Holland ain't going to bite down on his mouthpiece at all. Not from what we've seen in his last number of fights. The Gunnar Nelson win by a decision. Great win for him there. Anaconda choked to Vicente Luque, who's on the card. But a lot of fighters can probably submit Vicente Luque, where Vicente's at now in his career, 23-10, you know. So not very impressive for Kevin Holland lately. And I will actually fade him here, where normally I'm taking the Kevin Holland pick. It's a spot where you just can't trust the guy anymore. He's only 33. He's entertaining. He's going to put on a show. And he's always live for that submission. He's always live to land a knockout shot. But I'm just losing faith and hope in him. Randy Brown on the feet, knocked out Nicholas Dalby, went to a decision with Elizu Zaleski, got it done, and he knocked out Muslim Salikov. So he can deal with some of these slick strikers. He can power through, and he has power in his own right. His loss recently was a split decision to Brian Battle. That was a very close fight. Very, very close fight. And that one could have went either way. Randy Brown is very talented for 35 years old. A little bit older in the welterweight division, but he's definitely showing us more over the last couple fights. He's more serious about being in the welterweight rankings and fighting in the UFC. So that's just who I'm going to have to side with. It's a pretty clear pick here. And once again, the method of victory is unclear. I can determine which fighter I'm going to pick to win, but to go put my money on it, to go look at the props and tell you how they're going to win, it's just a complete blur for me on most of these fights. And there's very few where I'm going to sit and give the exact outcome. So we're going to jump with the next fight on the card. And the final thing to say about this fight on the card, if you're betting Kevin Holland, please manage your bankroll wisely. Please manage your bankroll wisely and try to find the most value possible. Kevin Holland by submission under 2.5. Kevin Holland round 3. You know, find the value on Kevin Holland if you're taking the risky bet and manage the bankroll wisely. Sometimes you got to be crazy, though. Sometimes you got to be crazy. Arkansas knows all about that with the Trayshawn Gore submission. I got it at plus 1,500. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Patricio Pitbull is plus 250. And it's not warranted, in my opinion, versus Aaron Pico, who was knocked out there a couple months ago to Lerone Murphy with the spinning back elbow. Aaron Pico, though, the reason why he's probably so favored in this fight, he was taking Lerone Murphy down, and he was winning the round before the spinning back elbow. Aaron Pico, 13-5 versus 37-8. Patricio Pitbull, and the line being this wide just says enough for me. I think Pico is going to be a very confident pick for me this week. But not a top-level parlay piece. Not a lock of the week. You know, he had a hiccup in his last fight. I just had a hiccup there. And Pitbull is getting too old. He's 38. We got the youth on the side of Pico, the takedowns, grappling threat on the side of Pico. And I do believe Pico can stick around the UFC for quite a while. You know, that was his first fight in the UFC, and it was to Lerone Murphy. He's 29, under the age of 30. We could see a long career from Aaron Pico. Maybe someone we could possibly see fight a contender for the championship. He could fight a title contender. He could even fight for the championship someday. I know Prelim Tim would love to see that. He is a fan of Aaron Pico, and there was high hopes for Aaron Pico. The thing is, these PFL Bellator guys are going to have a long road to get into the title shot. I think right now the closest one is Horiguchi. He was from Ryzen most recently, and he is very close to a title shot. So can Aaron Pico pick up the win here, dominant fashion after that loss to Lerone Murphy, and go get a title shot? I think he could. It's not out of the question at all. And I was kind of thinking, hey, dog of the week, is this a dog of the week play? But damn, 38 years old, off a loss for Pico that didn't look good. 13-5 record. Now he's favored heavily, minus 325. I'm just going to side with the number. And I seriously do think he's going to be the better fighter. He's not going to get caught in that fight, in this fight, like he did in that last fight. 38 years old. It's tough for Pitbull to go out there and land that knockout. He got a unanimous decision in that last fight. And from what I seen, he can't go out there in this fight and do what Lerone did. Before that, he lost to Yair Rodriguez in his UFC debut. It was a tough debut for him as well. And he's just showing in the two fights, he's kind of low output. The fights get close. He can get taken down. And if he gets taken down here in this fight, it's going to be problems. Pico on the ground has the ground and pound. His last 2 wins are by ground and pound. Pitbull, he has been knocked out too. At Ryzen, he was knocked out before he left to a 10-4 opponent. So I could totally see Pico getting this KO. Should be a good pick this week. I was going to try to overcomplicate this one. Seeing the plus money, plus 250 on Patricio Pitbull. I was going to try to overcomplicate it. I was thinking about picking him as a dog of the week and stuff like that. Get a little risky with it. But realistically, he's 38 years old. He doesn't have much finishing upside. And he can get taken down. Pico should run through him. And Pico might run through a lot of guys in this division and be close to a title shot, closer than a lot of people think. I know I am forecasting it somewhat here. We could be 2 years out from a title shot for him. But if he can get it going and get it going quick, we could see him fight for UFC gold. I have high hopes for Aaron Pico now after that loss to Lerone Murphy. He got caught in that one. From what I remember, before getting caught in that fight to Lerone, he had takedowns, he had pressure, and he looked phenomenal. Can't wait to see what Pico does here to Pitbull. This is a very good fight, and this is one where it could have been at Bellator before the UFC made the match. You know, this was a fight in the making for a long time. And this is a fight no one expected to see. It looks like Mateusz Gamrot's moving down the rankings, 25-4, and he is a decision dominator. He doesn't have much of a finishing upside. His striking is somewhat sloppy, but it is improving, I will say. The problem in this fight, he gets an Argentinian, a younger fighter here, 29 years old, and Gamrot's 35. So that's a 6-year age gap. So you got a young Pitbull coming at you, Ribovics, who throws with power, throws with steam. And in this fight, I think Ribovics is super live as an underdog. I think the name value and the record is the reason why Gamrot is favored right now. And later in the week, I could see the line start to close in a bit, kind of like the Money Moicano line did. But Money Moicano, Chris Duncan line was kind of flopping back and forth. I just see this one tighten it up a little bit. Ribovics will be my pick just with the forward pressure and striking. I'm just scared he does get taken down. I do believe in his first UFC fight, Esteban got taken down near 10 times. If he gets taken down more than once, twice, 3 times, you know, that's going to be tough. It's in Miami. You don't know how the judges are going to score it. But if he's getting back up 10 times in one fight, it means his get-up game is pretty good. And I got to believe he gets up once or twice after a takedown and then starts to get it going. He lands more power on the feet here as well. And that's what starts to slow down Gamrot. Gamrot's going to get hit. Maybe he gets hit on the eye. And one thing I've seen, hey, Gamrot got a good win to Rafael Fiziev and slowed down his hype a bit. This is a chance for Esteban Ribovics to kind of get his name into the ranks in the lightweight division with a possible injury for Gamrot in this fight. Gamrot goes out there, gets hurt, Ribovics steals the win. That'd be very live in this fight. Gamrot's the type of fighter that I feel like because he won in a greasy way, he's due to lose in a greasy way, if you know what I'm saying. So I could see Gamrot really dropping the bag in this fight. Last fight, he got submitted to Charles Oliveira. It was a tough fight on the feet. I can definitely see holes in his game where Ribovics is going to capitalize. Forward pressure and power is really what I'm looking for in my picks and predictions. Someone that's not going to fucking quit halfway through the fight. Someone that can be a good hammer and a good nail. Not always the hammer gets it done. Sometimes you got to be a nail go through some adversity and get it done on the later rounds, just not quitting on yourself. And thinking about me saying that, Tresean Gore is the perfect example of that. He lost round one, got dominated, started to lose round two, but he just kept pushing forward, not quitting on himself. Didn't say no, never said quit, and ends up winning in round three with a submission win. Unbelievable heart. Unbelievable heart. Wow. Tresean Gore was the perfect example of what I just said. And I don't think Gamrot has that grit. So we're going Ribovics, the dog in this fight. And it's smelling like an underdog of the week opportunity. And it would be a much better opportunity than the Patricio Pitbull play I thought about the night before. Thankfully, I had a good sleep and got that out of my head. Pico is going to smoke him. Pico's going to smoke him, bro. Going to cook him. Cook him like a veggie. Cook him like zucchini. Kelvin Gastelum up next versus Vicente Luque. Welterweight fight here. And Vicente Luque is a guy that has been getting cooked like a goddamn zucchini. And this is not at welterweight. It's at middleweight, sorry. Kelvin has fought here before. He fought Adesanya here close before. And Kelvin's just due for a good win. He got one unanimously in that last fight. Sensational stuff. The way he can just push forward, make it entertaining, showing his grit too. He has that real Mexican grit where Vicente Luque might just take a couple on the chin and he's out. He's going to be playing the BJJ nerd game like he's laying on his back, trying to get Kelvin to engage on the ground. And that's not going to happen at all. Kelvin's going to say, get up, let's go. I'm going to knock you out, because Kelvin Gastelum has waited for a knockout win a long time coming. And as I say, a lot of these outcomes are hard to determine. Kelvin's won many fights by a decision recently. Daniel Rodriguez, Dustin Stolfus, Chris Curtis. Hasn't won by knockout since 2017. And I'm here to say I'm picking Kelvin Gastelum by knockout. That's the one prop on the show I'm giving out that I actually like, have some faith in. I just don't think Vicente Luque's chin's going to hold up. I looked at the line and said, hey, this is a little wide. When I think the line's wider than it should be, I start to think, okay, maybe he's going to get the finish. So I'm riding with it here. It's been a serious minute since Kelvin won by finish, and he does have the grit to wear a couple shots, to not get taken down, to not quit on himself. And I think this is a great chance for him to get 2 wins consecutively. Kelvin has not had 2 wins consecutively since the last time he won by knockout, 2017. If Kelvin's getting the win, consecutive wins, back-to-back wins, I think he gets the KO. So that's a good prop this week. Interested at those odds. Michael Chiesa fought this guy before, didn't he? Maybe that was a canceled bout. Don't know what I was seeing there. Vicente Luque fought Michael Chiesa. Was that recently? The silent assassin, Michael Chiesa? No. Yeah, that was a win. Darce choke. I talked about it 2 events ago. Vicente Luque submitted Michael Chiesa. You know, that was a decent win, but after that, he lost Bilal, unanimous decision, knocked out to Jeff Neal, knocked out to Joaquin Buckley, and he got submitted to Kevin Holland. Unanimous decision loss to Joel Alvarez. Now, some of these opponents are high level and very good, but he's not looking at great wins in his last couple. The Michael Chiesa one was way back 6 years ago, 5 years ago now. And then the most recent win was Themba Greenbow, where he caught him in a submission round 1. So the wins are few and far between for Vicente Luque. It's hard to find a good one realistically. Looking at his last number of fights, he had an RDA win 2023. That wasn't really impressive. He caught Tyrone Woodley round 1 with a Darce choke as well. Same way he submitted Michael Chiesa, Darce choke round 1. So he's not showing us much in these wins, and they're few and far between in the last 6 years. Seems like it's almost time to hang him up for Vicente Luque. He was a guy that had health concerns before in the past, brain bleeds and stuff like that. He was inactive and just didn't seem to get it going since coming back. Picked up that Themba Grimbo win. Just kind of caught him round one. Themba's green. Galvin is definitely not green. This is a guy that's fought Israel Adesanya. I think it was a majority decision in that fight looking back. No, unanimous decision. Split decision with Darren Till. Unanimous decision loss to Robert Whitaker. Unanimous decision loss to Jared Cannonier. Here I go stuttering again. Need that foam. He unanimously lost to Joe Pyfer. So he's fought the way better competition, get Kelvin Gastelum as well. It's a spot that he's really due for the KO. Last 3 fights going the distance. Vicente in his last fight lost by a decision. People think this is going to be cut and dry, and Kelvin Gastelum will be chalked by a decision. I'm just going the other side, and hopefully that other side has value and there's money to make in Miami. Time for that foam so we don't stutter anymore to finish off the show. We got a couple fights left. Confidence is dwindling, as I said on the show. Start of the event, just like the last event, we're going to hold back on bets. We're just going to pick these fights and have some fun. That's sour stuff. That's real sour stuff. Woo! And this is one of the last fights we're going to talk about here today, Sunday night. That's probably why the video is getting dragged on and the predictions are getting dragged on a little bit. But who's been getting dragged on is Chris Padilla. He is a public pick that a lot of people do like. This guy won his last 5 fights, and in the UFC, his record is 4-0. Undefeated in the UFC. He pulled off the underdog win in his last fight to Ismail Bonfim. Split decision win to Jai Herbert the fight before that. UFC debut, submitted James Luntop, and then went out and got the doctor stoppage to Rong Zhu. 4-fight win streak in the UFC, and his win streak in MMA right now is at 7 wins, looking for 8. Chris Padilla is just pulling everybody in. He has the public on a leash. And Marquel Mederos, man, is a tough guy to get a read on. He took a loss a long time ago, 2022, to a fighter 4-2 split decision at Fury FC. Since then, he's a fighter on a run right now, on a huge win streak of 9 wins, looking for his 10th win. And in the UFC, he's on a 3-fight win streak, 3-0 in the UFC right now. You have to take a loss, like I said, since 2022. So you got 2 guys high level going head to head. One of these guys needs to take the loss. I'm starting to lean underdog again just because how much of the public might be pulled into Chris Padilla here. And the Choinski fight, Austin Hubbard fight just weren't great looks for Marquel Mederos, in my opinion. But hey, he was tested a little bit, showed us some durability and grip, and he's going to need it in this fight because realistically, Chris Padilla is going to be pushing forward with power. And it's going to be a very close fight. Marquel Mederos in a split decision to Austin Hubbard showed us signs that he's going to get finished in a spot like this to Chris Padilla. But then in other fights he was in, like Landon Quinones and then his Dana White Contender Series fight, you would think the opposite, and you would think he's going to smoke Chris Padilla. So depending on what fights you go back and look at for these fighters, you're going to have a completely different opinion. And to be honest, Fight Fiend's here to say it's tough to get a solid read on this fight. So I'm riding with the plus money. I know it's a risky one. I know the public's going to be all over Chris Padilla, Taco Padilla time, but I'm just going to take the other side with the plus money. You got 2 guys on great win streaks, undefeated in the UFC. I'm just going with the guy, a little bit younger, 29 years old. He's only younger by a couple months, so it's not much younger. The experience is on the side of Chris Padilla. Looking at Topology picks, Chris Padilla has 87% of Topology picks out of 1,500, and he is a slight favorite compared to what Topology is saying. If 87% is on Chris Padilla, he should be a 4-1 favorite in this fight, and odds are not reflective of that. Taking a chance here on an underdog again on the card. Marquel, Mederos. I was smart and passed on some underdogs like Kevin Holland, but obviously that's one that'll come back to bite me because who can seriously get a good read on Kevin Holland? Who can get a good read on Kevin Holland, you know? Seriously. It's hard to. Very hard to. And I've been taking risk and chances on some fighters recently, and I'm just done taking that risk, you know? Sometimes I know a fighter's going to lose, and I pick them to win in my predictions just because there's value there, just because I think they have a better percentage to win than what the odds are saying here. And in this one, I would take Prado because of that. You know, I think Prado has a much higher chance to win than plus 175. He is way better than his 1-4 UFC record says. But I'm just going to take the other side, the guy that has been more filled out in his career. And looking at Charles Radke, he could mix in the wrestling. He's well-rounded here too. He might need the wrestling in this fight on the feet. He's kind of wild out there, and he leaves himself to get hit, which could be a huge problem to a power hitter. Once again, Francisco Prado. He's from Argentina, and he kind of fights like Esteban Ribovics. Forward pressure and power, and that would give Radke serious problems in this fight. Another thing to mention, Prado is younger in this fight, and he has been in the UFC since he was 20. He's been here for 3 years. Like I said, he's fought 5 fights, only 23 years old. He's the guy more likely to make improvements in this fight. So you kind of want to look towards underdog for sure in this fight. Maybe I switch my pick later in the week. I definitely want to see these guys weigh in and face off. Chuck Buffalo, 35 years old. He has the more well-rounded game. He's more filled out in his career right now. And I don't think he's going to really get much better, but he's not going to get much worse. He's going to basically level out here and stick around the UFC. For Francisco Prado, we've seen a lot of these young guys get cut and not work out, so it might be a few years until they're back. I think Daniel Zellhuber was recently cut. We're in a situation with Francisco Prado. If he doesn't win here, he will be also headed out of the UFC with a cut. That's why I would hold back on all bets. If you're going to bet it, you got to take the guy who's motivated to keep his UFC contract, Francisco Prado. On the other side, you can't say Charles Radke is not motivated to keep a UFC contract. His record isn't too pretty at 11-5. He got a win in round 3 in his last fight, and he's going to have to keep the wins coming. He can't let the record 11-5 get much worse. It can't get to 11-6, 11-7, you know. Then we're going to start to think, what are we doing keeping him around? At 12-4, Francisco Prado's in the same situation, another 2 losses, and he's 12-6. These are 2 fighters that fight better than their record indicates, but they need to start picking up wins. So I wouldn't go put them as locks of the week, dogs of the week, or even bets, if I'm being completely honest. There is value on the underdog. For sure, he has a great chance to win, but with what I've seen in the UFC, I don't know how much Francisco Prado is going to improve. So I'm going to take Chuck Buffalo Radke by a decision in this fight with the lowest confidence you can find in this room. And the only thing I can hear and find in this room is a cat that wants out of the room. So we're done with the Chuck Buffalo prediction, and we are done with the predictions for UFC Miami. Thanks everyone for staying forecasted. Confidence started to dwindle as the show went on, and I'm gonna let my cat out. So peace out. Stay forecasted. We're back Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern time for the Prop Fiend show. I gotta go though. You can probably hear the cat scratching at the door. She's had enough. Peace.